When you've got a show with 435 episodes, it's really not a big surprise when some of those episodes end up disappointing the fans. It's just how the universe works. You can't have too many good things at once. We've had 19 seasons of NCIS, and it's been nominated for 3 Emmys throughout its run. Still, some episodes left a sour taste in our mouths. In today's video, we'll go over the 10 worst NCIS episodes. First up at number 10, the one where they investigate the death of a petty officer's friend. You guys, one would assume that the petty officer would be the one to kick the can, but no, it's actually the friend that dies, pretty stupidly too. So there's a car crash, and the officer's friend happens to extract themselves from the crash and wanders into the woods and dies. Interesting. Anyway, Gibbs and the crew further investigate to find bullet hole markings on the victim's car. After some good old detective work, the victim is exposed to have previously participated in a secret fight club. Brad Pitt is shaking in his boots right now, folks. Abby, on the other hand, gets busy and tracks the involvement of a suspicious vehicle whose driver is later found also dead. And that's it. That's the extent of how interesting this episode got. Moving on to number 9. The second worst episode is the one with the auto accidents. Tells the directors are sick of their job without telling me the directors are sick of their job. Yet another episode of an auto accident. Who even gets hyped over car crashes anymore? Where 2 random and seemingly unrelated crashes are somehow related through a main character's love interest. We called it. That's cliche. Gibbs and Ducky discover strange evidence on the crime scene of the one crash, and a few moments later, they come across another totaled car plus a corpse. As the episode unfurls, the show writers manage to almost capture the viewer's attention, because to try and keep the suspense, Ducky's new girlfriend is dragged in the whole mess. Also, a super random criminal with the name of M.O. suddenly is in the picture. M.O.? More like N.O. Let's take a look at number 8, the not-so-enthusiastic return of Gibbs in Season 4. There was definitely an attempt here. By bringing Gibbs back and pleasing the viewers with their favorite character's permanent return, there was definitely some effort to try and impress the masses. However, the hurriedness of throwing Gibbs back into the field in a case involving a heavily abused woman may not have been very professionally suspenseful for the writers. Like, come on man, at least let us enjoy the highs and the lows. Anyway, so Gibbs is back to business investigating this woman who's assaulted inside a stolen SUV, and the car thief apparently knows nothing of her. Eventually, a third misfit in the crime is identified, and voila, mystery solved. Kind of a bummer that NCIS keeps initiating these suspenseful moments and let us down so quickly with the endings. Following at number 7, the episode that revolved around a dead MI6 agent. If you ask us, Philadelphia rings up a visual of Philly steak and rowdy weekend bar nights. Not dead sailors and MI6 agents. Yep, folks, you heard that right. The colleague of an MI6 agent who went missing in Philly is sent to join the search party. However, he stumbles across a dead sailor instead. What is this, a pirate comedy show? So Reeves phones Gibbs, confiding in him with his mastermind analogy that the sailor could be linked to the MI6 agent. The episode slowly turns from a hound search party to a mystical teenage interest segment where Quinn, one of the people sent to investigate the dead sailor, starts remembering some really terrible flashbacks of Philadelphia and the apparent horrors that lie in there. Man, stop disrespecting the legacy of Philly steak. Up next at number 6, the one all about deadly explosions and charity concerts. The classic tug at the viewer's heartstrings. This lovely episode centers around an explosion at a charity event. Nice one. The explosion resulted in the death of 2 people, one of which was a first-class Navy petty officer. So Gibbs and the crew start the usual process of things and, upon investigating the remnants of the blast, discover a World War II torpedo warhead among the mess. Like, come on, man, seriously? Who blows up a charity event with a World War II relic? So basically, that's the big wow for the episode, and the rest pretty much goes downhill right down to the point where Abby tracks down the criminal and McGee does a background check. And, well, you guessed it. The crew ends up thwarting the criminal's plans for further damage, and world peace ensues. Not to mention at number 5, the lowest rated episode in NCIS history, Tribes. We've got plenty of bad ratings for some NCIS episodes, but if there's one of the list of episodes with the lowest scores, it's episode 11 from season 5, titled Tribes. Rumor has it is that no matter how dedicated NCIS fans get, they just can't stomach the train wreck that was in this episode. It must have been some really awful disaster sequence if it had disappointed fans so much. The episode revolved around the death of a Marine. Sounds pretty simple, but the Marine was a Muslim man whose body was recovered near a mosque he visited frequently. Interestingly, the guy's father worked as the preacher in the same mosque, and he asked Gibbs not to perform an autopsy because of religious reasons. Of course, the investigator honored the father's wishes, but as you all know, the father ended up being the one who murdered his own son. All in all, it was a pretty boring and predictable episode that didn't really offer any excitement to our minds. Now at number 4, this one where the piece of evidence is a bulletproof metal vest. For some reason, season 11's episode 15 wasn't entirely too intriguing for viewers. When you're watching a show that promises you crime and drama, you expect a lot. Sometimes your expectations are so high that you're not given what you came for. Well, the Bulletproof episode was just like that. Let's sum up the episode's plot for you. This one centered around the missing driver of a van. The vehicle was in a highway accident, and the investigators recovered bulletproof body armor. One thing led to another. They're able to figure out who supplied the armor. Using that information, they searched for the driver. But the whole episode kept reiterating how guns are bad and gun shows are bad, and we can understand how forcing such stereotypes can frustrate fans. Maybe that explains why the episode didn't receive good ratings. Moving on to number 3, the incredibly boring Hereafter episode from season 10. We've got reason to believe that if you have a show that goes around 435 episodes, you've got to mix things up often. You have to give your fans variety. But unfortunately, it seems like the writers at NCIS didn't get that memo. In the Hereafter episode, we've got the Marines again. It kind of gets really boring to see the same thing over and over again. Here, 2 Lance Corporals in a training program are found dead, and when investigations reveal the numerous bruises on their body, things start to get complicated. Well, not all too complicated. They find out that there's a network of hidden street fighters in the Marines, and they target these corporals. Of course, it's not easy to resolve things like this because, well, it's the Marines. But then again, how many times have you seen the same storyline? At some point, you just feel sick of it. Eventually, Gibbs and Vance manage to take the man responsible for all the physical violence into an interrogation. All of us saw that coming. Predictability is a terrible bore indeed. Coming up at number 2, this episode where they target a homeless shelter with open gunfire. For an episode that's titled Brothers in Arms, this sure seemed like the exact opposite of it. You wouldn't expect such seemingly brothers in arms to open gunfire at a homeless shelter. And that's precisely what happened in episode 21 of season 4. Not all of us can stomach the cruelty of firing at a homeless shelter, so we don't really blame the fans for giving this episode such a low rating. Anyway, the shooting leaves a very important informant dead, and after the whole fiasco, we've got a plot that's essentially just meaningless chasing. Yeah, we're really done with these cat and mouse pursuit storylines. As we mentioned before, fans need variety. Writers need to up their game because the only way you can keep your audience members engaged is if you give them a bit of novelty with every episode. Repetitive storylines are just not it these days, and we've seen dozens of chases in crime drama history. Later but not least at number 1, we've got Knockout from season 6. With that, we've come to the last one. It's the 18th episode from season 6, and so far, it's the lowest rated NCIS episode with an IMDb rating of 7.1. That's a pretty low blow if you think of it. Vance and Gibbs end up in some sort of feud, and we've got a missing person who's a Marine. Did we mention how done fans are with the same thing? And there's something about a boxer found dead in Chicago. The episode didn't just focus on solving cases. It also tried handling the tension between Vance and Gibbs, and well, it all became a bit too much to follow. That's a wrap for this video. Do you have an episode in mind that falls in this category? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.